So today I'm going to show you how to graph a quadratic equation, a quadratic function. You guys have already done a table of values to graph linear equations, and now we're going to do that with quadratics. And what makes this quadratic is instead of linear, if this was a linear equation, it might be y equals minus 2x minus 2, but now it's y equals minus 2x squared minus 2. So it's the x squared is the highest degree term in here. So it's the same method that we've done for finding linear equations, for graphing them, but we're going to just do this with a different type of equation. So I have a table of values where I look down here. I have x is minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, and 2. These are just some values of x I can plug in and find out the y that goes into them, and then I can graph and see what happens here. So if I want to find out when I plug in, for instance, the first one is a value of minus 2, I rewrite the equation y equals to minus 2 times, now for my x I'm going to put in a minus 2, so where there was an x I'm going to put in a minus 2 now squared minus 2. Okay, so the hardest part here is order of operations. The first thing I do is the exponent, so I squared. So I actually don't multiply my minus 2 times a minus 2. I actually do my minus 2 squared here, which is 4. So now I have minus 2 times 4 minus 2. Remember, a negative times a negative is a positive. All right, now I have a negative times a positive. I need to do my multiplication before I do my addition and subtraction. Minus 2 times 4 gives me minus 8. And then I have a minus 2 here. Now I do a minus 8 minus another 2. They're both, let's take like taking 8 step backwards and another 2 step backwards. Now I've gone backwards 10. So I have minus 10 is my y value there. Now I'm going to do the same thing for minus 1. Y equals to minus 2 times minus 1 squared minus 2. Same thing, minus 1 squared is positive 1. So I have minus 2 times positive 1, which is minus 2, minus another 2, which is a minus 4. So now I have a minus 4 here. I plug in 0. 0 is a nice one to plug in. Things cancel out really easily. I have y equals to minus 2 times 0 squared minus 2. 0 squared is 0, so I get minus 2 times 0, which is still 0, minus 2, which is now minus 2. All right, only 2 more to go. Now I'm going to do a positive 1. This is kind of interesting what happens here. I have a minus 2, and I put in a positive 1 squared minus 2. Positive 1 squared is 1 times a minus is 1, so I'll write that down. Minus 2 times 1 minus 2. Minus 2 times 1 is minus 2. Minus another 2 is minus 4. Notice that when I put in a minus 1 and I put in a 1, when I squared them, the exact same thing happened, because with a 1 squared and minus 1 squared are the same thing. So I got a minus 4 here, and I got a minus 4 here. The same thing is going to happen when I put in a 2, just like I put in a minus 2. So I'm going to put y equals to minus 2 times a positive 2 squared minus 2, which gives me 2 squared is 4. Minus 2 times 4 is minus 8. Minus 2 is, again, minus 10. So here I have a minus 4 I found out and a 10. And so I have some values for y that are repeating here. So now when I go to plot these points on my graph, I have minus 2, my x value, my y value is minus 10. And I have minus 1 is my x value, and my y value is minus 4. Another point there. I have 0 is my x value, and minus 2 is my y value. I have 1 and minus 4. X is 1, y is minus 4. And I have 2 and 10. X is 2, y is 10. So now I have a bunch of points here, and when you start to look at things, you can sort of see that it's a parabola shape. This is not a straight line. So when I go to connect these dots, I'm going to draw a line that looks basically like this. Oops, and then I draw a little arrow on the end here showing that it continues forever. And that is a parabola. That is a parabola shape, and that's the kind of shape that kind of looks like a U, but it technically is not a U. But you're showing that that's going to go down to the left forever and down to the right forever. But it has a nice little curved and turn the corner thing. All of your graphs should look in that shape. Some of them are U's that are going up. Some of them are upside down U's like this one. But they all should have that general shape to them. So go ahead and do that document and try to graph as many of those as you can.